Hello and welcome to today's episode of Rich with Experiences. My name is Michelle. I am the owner and founder of Life After Loss Academy. And let me tell you, I am so excited that you are here with me. So if you're listening in your radio, if you're at home today, we have an amazing episode. We have an amazing guest. And if you have listened to my story, and I know that you have because we are part of this community together, you know that I unfortunately had experienced molestation and sexual assault from early childhood into adulthood. And I have suffered with this for a while. When I say suffered, I had a lot of issues with reconnecting to my authentic self. And when I heard this woman's story, man, she spoke to my heart because her message and how she wants to help people heal is helping them become sexy after sexual assault. So today, I want to give a warm welcome to my guest, Lesa Lace. How are you doing? You're on mute. Oh, hold on. Let me, let's see here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Sorry.
There we go.
There
I was
we
like, it's not
go.
letting me
We have
unmute.
fixed the problem.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey,
Welcome.
hey. Hey to all the wonderful ladies out there. Hello to you, Miss Purple Michelle. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I am here today with you.
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for
No
sharing
problem.
your story with us here at the RWE family.
Yeah.
So I already said that you were a healer and teaching people how to become sexy after sexual assault by opening up a dance studio, getting us connected to our bodies again. But I want to know, what do you consider yourself to be an expert in?
Being human.
Ooh.
Being human. Um, it takes a lot to be a human in this society. It takes a lot to be humane in this society. Um, So if I know one thing is for certain, I am a human being. I demand to be treated like one. I demand to be loved like one is supposed to. I demand to be protected like one is supposed to. I will love and reciprocate all of those feelings and emotions and and support anybody that is living in their humanity. So I know a lot about a lot and a little about a little, but professionally, I am human. Like I know how to do this. This I know how to do.
I love that. And I love how you said you're an expert at being human because I think that oftentimes we kind of take away the fact that we are humans and humans make mistakes. Humans love, humans have trauma, humans lose, you know. And so when you put that in perspective, I'm a human, you know,
Yeah.
and I just want to be that. It's beautiful. Um, now, I remember we've been friends for about 2 years. And I remember when I first met you on social media, I was listening to your story and you were talking about how you started a dance studio and that you really desire to help women reconnect to their sexuality and being sexual. And you got a lot of backlash on social media for this.
Hmm.
Can
Still
you
do.
still
Still
can you
do.
talk to us about why do people feel that this is very taboo?
Because well, first of all, I think that we have this notion of how victims are supposed to act rather than seeing from a humane eye that humans are not a monolith. There's no way to really determine how a human is supposed to act to trauma. We all react differently. Certain things may trigger me that may not trigger you at all. Certain things may trigger you that may only trigger me somewhat. So at the end of the day, if we could all remember first and foremost that victims are human and they should be treated like human beings. And if we are human beings and human beings are sexual, then victims have every right to be sexual too. You don't get to take that from us because you don't because there are certain people in the world that don't know how to take no for an answer. You don't get to steal my sensuality from me. You don't get to tell me I can't indulge in it because somebody took something from me that I did not give them. That's not fair. And for a lot of us, we're sexually assaulted in our childhood before we ever know what sexuality and sensuality is. So are we never supposed to experience that? Are we never supposed to come to a place where we can enjoy being sensual first and foremost?
Yeah.
Because that's the emotion behind sexuality and love making. There has to be emotion behind that. And if you can't even connect to it emotionally, then what is the value in it sexually?
Yeah.
And that's why so many of us are what the world would call promiscuous and don't really care because how do you care when you don't know how to?
And
So
see,
that's important.
when I heard you say that message, what spotlit in my life, in my experiences, because I was that person who was sexually assaulted as a child that built my foundation. And then what I decided in my mind and how I used it to protect myself was sex was transactional. It was, I'm gonna give you this so I can get this. It was no
Exactly.
emotion into it. And it even showed up even in my marriage. Like I just wasn't connected. It was like, oh, come on, let's go. What time is it? Let's hurry up, let's get this done. Right. Because like you said, I didn't gain
There's
that
no
connection
sensual
because
connection.
now how did you discover this path? Like for me, um, I often tell people that I didn't pick being a trauma healer. I didn't pick this life. It
Right.
picked me, right? So
Absolutely.
how would you feel you started this journey? What led it to be?
Um, so if you'd have asked me this maybe 15 years ago, I probably would have had a different answer because I didn't really know myself as well as I do today. So a couple of years ago, I was asked this question by um, the newspaper in Anniston, Alabama. And they asked me, when did you become an activist?
Mhm.
And for the first time in my life, I realized that I'd been an activist way before I knew what the word meant, way before I knew probably even how to spell the word activist. I just know that from the very first time I recognized that what was happening to me was abnormal, it was wrong, I called it out. And that was around 5, 6 years old. So I can't help but to think that this life chose me. I didn't really choose it because I honestly, and I've talked about this with my therapist, I have felt resentment toward that little girl that would not keep her mouth shut. That little girl that just would not stop telling the truth. Like, first of all, nobody cares. Nobody's listening. Every time you do, you end up physically harmed by people that want to silence you. But for some reason, I just could never shut up. And it's the same thing to this day. I don't know how to not stand up when I see someone being knocked down. It doesn't matter if it's me. If I know that that person needs help defending themselves, I'm gonna be there. And if I'm gonna be there for other people, obviously it had to start with me. And I started advocating for myself at a very young age. I just didn't know that's what I was doing.
And we have someone in the chat. So, yes. So, for those who are listening, this is a live podcast. This is interactive. That's one of the amazing things about Win Win Women. So, we do have people right here with us. And Portia says, I developed a transactional mindset as well due to trauma of being assaulted as a child. This is really, really common. As someone,
Hmm.
working in trauma, talking to a lot of clients, doing a lot of research. And we build the way we preview the world as adults based off of our experiences as children because that is our foundation. Just
Mhm.
like a house. When you build a house on a rocky foundation, that house isn't going to stand. But if you also build that house on a foundation that has a lot of traumatic experiences, like we're discussing, how does that adult show up in the world? So I am curious on how you took your experiences and made that decision to be like, you know what? Something has to change. And you found that through dance. How did that happen?
So I've always been an advocate for the underdog, right? I really didn't care what your issue was, whether you were a victim of SA, whether you were a victim of homelessness, whether you were a victim of having your children taken away. I've always made myself available to my community in any way that I can. But when I really started to focus on sexy after sexual assault, it really started with my love of dance, right? So I'm just sitting there one night and I'm like, gosh, I wish there was a place that women especially could dance how we want to in the sensual manner that we want to without men being all over us. Like without, the because y'all know how it is. Back in the day, you in the club and you dancing, and all of a sudden there's a pokey poke at your back, and you're like, okay, dude, I don't really want to dance with you, but you want to dance. And then it just kind of, I just kept thinking about it. And then I had a friend that was a professional dancer. She had taken professional dance classes all throughout her life. So we just started talking about it. And at first, we just created a dance group. So we would just go to the gym on the weekends and just dance together, come up with dance routines. But then I was like, we really need a place of our own so that we can make it a safe space for other women that just want to dance. Like we don't care about the body type. We I cannot hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
Oh, okay, okay. Your mic wasn't on. I thought I was okay. So we didn't care about the body type. We didn't care about the race. We didn't care about none of that. None of that. All we wanted was women that wanted to get back to their sensuality, women that wanted to dance without the pressures of everybody or everything around them, without having to be shy or feeling uncomfortable. Come here. We'll love on you. We'll amp you up. We'll get you in here, help you get your confidence up. So that's really how it started. Just a group of diverse women that wanted to be sexy and wanted to feel sexy without the pressures of the world telling them what they should and should not look like.
I'm going to pull up a video and I'm going to share it with everyone because I want to show what it looks like to be in one of your um, in your classes and actually be able to experience learning what it's like and
I love this
walk us through
video.
this. What was this?
So this was my student Sam. And Sam was a lot like me. She was more on the tomboyish side, um, not very comfortable in her sensuality. And also, she was not comfortable with group classes either. She was comfortable with one or two people in the room, but she did not want to do group classes. I do not know if she was traumatized by anything or if this was just something that because some of us are just naturally shy. Like all of us, everybody that came did not come specifically because they were trying to heal from trauma. Some of the women and men that came there just wanted to learn how to be sassy, learn how to be sexy. And that was one of her things. Like she just wanted to come in and be completely different from what she was at home or I think she was also a referee. So she refereed for football games, basketball games, soccer games. She was felt like she was in a very manly sport. So that was her weekend getaway to just be the fierce mama she wanted to be on the weekend. Like she would come in there pumped, ready to just dance every weekend.
I love that. And so I remember when you were talking to me about that and you mentioned that that was mirror work.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So
So I'm sorry, go
give me
ahead.
some details. So mirror work, if I came to your studio, what is mirror work for
Mm,
me?
okay, mirror work is you have to be able to look at yourself.
Mm,
How can you want someone else to look at you and find you as beautiful as you see yourself if you don't see it yourself? If you can't look in the mirror and find that beauty, no one else is going to find it for you because everyone is going to have their opinions on what you look like or what you should look like or how you should dress. But the only person that really matters is you. When you look in that mirror, do you see a beautiful being or do you see what everybody else is telling you what to be? So, mirror work is just forcing yourself to stand in that mirror, flirt with yourself, turn yourself on, amp yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Like give yourself all of that sensuality that you want to be able to give to someone else, but you can't give somebody something you don't have, and you can't expect someone to give you something that you don't even feel like you deserve. So that mirror work is important when it comes to accepting yourself and finding the beauty in you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what inspired you to even start that healing in yourself? Because I know for me, um, what inspired my healing journey was when I realized that I turned into my mother and I was inflicting that same level of fear in my children.
Right.
And my program, Healing to Create Abundance, was really me asking myself, if I had all the abundance in the world, what abundance would I want? And I thought about money, I thought about all this stuff. And in all actuality, that didn't bring me happiness. What I really would love is healing, because if I could change myself, start healing myself, and then I can help my children, and my children will then show up as different people, and their children will learn these lessons. I just changed the whole trajectory of my lineage, right? So that
Right.
was for me. Like I saw that scary person that scared me as a child now looking at me because I turned into that. So what was it for
Mm-hmm.
you that was like, damn, I have to change?
Um, well, kind of the same thing, honestly. I went through a really dark moment when I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Um, and when I look back on it, like even before I was diagnosed, I can see some of the signs of my mental health declining. And not just because there were traumas that I hadn't truly healed from, but also because the disease itself, thyroid disease itself, affects you mentally. It affects you in so many different ways. And at this time, there was not a lot of studies, but there's still not enough studies about, your thyroid and the issues that thyroid disease causes. But I was really lost. Like I didn't really take it seriously, didn't really understand everything that was going on. But I do remember going through a time where I was mean as hell. I It didn't make no sense. It just really made no sense as to how now I've never beat my children. I've never really whipped my children. But baby, yell at them, cuss at them, um, and sometimes from 0 to 100, just quick as hell over the smallest little things. And I realized like something is wrong. Like something is absolutely wrong. And even though I've been in counseling on and off my entire life, I mean from childhood to today, I got an appointment in a couple of weeks. I I still did not recognize what was going on in that moment. And there are a lot of things to factor in when it comes to mental health, and especially when it comes to Black women and mental health, and the options that we have as far as the people that we see to heal us of these traumas. That first of all, a lot of the therapists in this society are not our race. They don't know our stories. They don't understand our traumas. And a lot of them cause these traumas. A lot of them are the reason for these traumas, or at least people that look like them, people that we have to deal with on a daily basis. So my thyroid cancer is kind of what really made me wake up and say, okay, you got to get a better grip on yourself. And that's really when my life, and I was around 26 years old when I say that I really truly started to wake up. Now, was I fully awake? No, I was, to this day, I can tell you I'm not perfect. I still, have my ups and my downs, but now I'm more aware of what triggers cause these things. I'm more aware of who I am as a person and what trauma has done to me. That doesn't mean I'm healed, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there is any healing um, available for the majority of people in this country, because that's not what this country is built for. We won't get humanity out of an inhumane country. The structure, whatever you want to call this, is the business corporation, whatever. Um, But when you start checking the oppressor within, um, and you start realizing your responsibility and your accountability in what happens in your life and how you treat people and how people treat you and how you raise your kids and how your kids respond to you, it's a lot better. It's a lot less chaotic. It's a lot less traumatic.
I I want to thank you for sharing your story about experiencing your thyroid cancer because for me, I always stand on this idea that grief isn't just losing someone in the physical form.
Right?
Grieving is losing something that you love. And when you said thyroid cancer and you were sharing your experience, the love of health,
Yeah.
losing that, I
Hmm.
mean, that is such a heavy impact. And at a
Yeah.
young age and a mother. So thank you for sharing that and being so
No
open with
problem.
us.
No problem.
Um,
It's something I will struggle with for the rest of my life as I have my thyroid removed. And even sitting here talking to you today, I've been without my medication because the VA sucks. Most times the VA sucks. But I've been without my medication for about 3 weeks. And so um, my body goes through its changes um when I don't have my medication. My voice my voice is really really bad when I don't have my medication. Um, so it is. I wish I had have taken it more seriously, but I am now. So
so I'm curious to know, we have Lesa Lace, someone who
mhm,
has gone through so much adversity. You were in the military. You were diagnosed with thyroid cancer. You have overcame. Um, see, I'm your friend, so I know a lot of your story. You have overcame a lot.
yeah.
Um, and what motivates you in those days? Because I have a saying that sometimes it takes a toe. Some days you're only able to put a toe in, and that needs to be celebrated. Some days you're able to take a half a step. That needs to be celebrated. Some days it might even look like I brushed my teeth. And that needs to be celebrated because those dark moments is very hard to get
Right.
motivated to move through. So what were some of the things that you utilize in those dark moments to help motivate you just to do that one step more? Because with your story, there was so much opportunity for you to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna not even create what I created because you went through so much, but yet you created a space for people to heal. So in those dark moments, how did you motivate yourself to just go one step, one more day, one more day?
Ironically, being abused by both of my parents, uh, I still learned a lot from them. And uh, ironically, my dad always told me that, you know, sometimes you have to entertain a stranger because you don't know if that's your guardian angel, right? And as long as what you do comes from your heart, then you gave your best. So what motivates me is to pass kindness on because
Mhm.
life could be so much easier if we just knew how to be kinder to one another. And to me, that's a part of being humane. Seeing yourself in other people, seeing that, yes, life was fucked up for me. I'm sorry. Is that a
Yeah,
bad word to say here?
it's
Okay.
okay.
Life was messed up for me. But I know that it was messed up for someone else too. I know that even though my life story might be the worst story you ever heard, it's not the worst story ever told. So I remember every day that somebody else needs kindness because that's what a lot of us are not getting in life. And the smallest gesture could really make or break somebody. And I don't ever want to be the person that breaks somebody. So for me, it's always been my community. I love myself. I do. But I also know that my purpose on this earth is to protect other people. I don't need it as much as I've been protecting myself for a very long time. So I know that my purpose is to be there to fight for other people, the people that don't have a voice, the people that are too afraid to fight, too scared to move. Like I'm that friend that when you get stuck in fight or flight, I'm jerking you. Come on, we got to go. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm the one that's stepping in front of you like, let me knock this out. Like I get why you feel that way. I get why you can't move. I'm not gonna blame you that you can't move, but I can. I can,
Mhm.
and if I need to move for you right now, that's what I'm gonna do. And to me,
Oh,
that is the purest form of kindness is protection. Protect other people's feelings, protect other people's bodies, protect other people's freedoms, especially when you know they're incapable of doing it. That's humanity.
yeah. You know, that resonates with me because we're similar in that. And I've been doing a lot of reflective work, and I always wanted to work on my anger because that's my first response. And it boiled down to I use my anger to protect people because I feel like the bigger I was because I've seen so much in my household. So I knew that I could be that person. I always protected people because I always wanted people to feel safe because I didn't feel safe in so many situations. So I made it my
Mhm.
mission. I was like, oh, no, no, no. If someone's trying to make someone else feel unsafe, no, 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 we're not going to do that because I know how that
Right.
feels. And so whatever I can do, I'm gonna try to do. So now I'm working on my anger. Those who have been with the RWE long enough knows that anger is literally the thing that is my compass, is my beaker. It allows me to see what's going on. Um, I am really, really thankful for you and thankful that you have chosen, because you have inspired a lot of things in me. As I listen to you and we talk often, and your mission in helping women like myself regain this level of sexiness
That's
is so
it.
important. Um, so
Yes.
what's next for you? Because I know that you had to close your studio down, but I
Yeah.
heard some rumors in the rumor mill that there
I
may be
am
some approaching, some footsteps towards another studio.
I'm gonna start small because as you know, I transitioned from Alabama to North Carolina. And so I kind of really have to rebuild my connections here. And also, excuse me, I'm coming down from a cold. So um I did deal with what I will call a great depression. I think this is probably my greatest depression ever, these past 3 years. And I know some of you may know the story. I'm not necessarily here to tell the story, but it does have to do with sexual assault and something that I did not think I would go through again at the age of 37, I believe I was 37, 36, 30, somewhere in there. Um, it took a toll on me. And so I went into hibernation and I am finally breaking free of that. I'm finally getting back out there because I really didn't go anywhere, like nowhere for real, for 3 years. Um, again, that I would call that my greatest depression. But I feel like this time around, it is absolutely important for me to get back in the studio, or at least where I want to start off is creating events. Because I've found this wonderful Facebook group of beautiful women that want to help um, other women find great friendships, and it's called the Lady Tribe. And I have not been disappointed yet in the meetings with the ladies that I've had from this group. They have given me what a lot of people say that I've given them over the past 3 years. They have given me so much confidence in getting back to who I know I am.
Mhm.
And because I've done a lot of questioning of myself in the past 3 years. You know, as victims, we do that. We tend to blame ourselves. We tend to gaslight ourselves. We tend to victim shame ourselves. And I went through all of that. Like I said, I don't think anybody in this world is 100% healed, and especially when it comes to things that are as traumatic as sexual assault. So um I've just been giving myself time to get back to me. But yes, I have been taking some dance classes just so I can get back in the feel of being in the studio. You know, I'm also in the gym now trying to get myself back in shape because I can't teach dance if I'm not in shape to dance.
Well,
So I
healing is whole
am,
body though. It's
it
mind,
is,
it's
it is,
body, it's
it
spirit, it's
is,
everything. You can't have,
it
well, I'm
is.
gonna be honest, it's like you having meat with no mashed potatoes. It just don't work for me. The one and
Right,
one, it ain't and the two. So you have to. But here's what I really want to say is thank you for opening and sharing about your recent struggle with your Great Depression, because the reality is lives. And your story just
yes,
really showcases that you're gonna have moments where you're gonna be on top. And I think Beyonce said it the best. Some days you feel on top of the world, and then when you wake up, the world's on top of you. And
right,
you have to still find that space to be like, okay, what do I need in this moment? And honoring what you need in that moment. So for you, hibernation, that's what you needed in that moment. So you can do
Yeah.
your healing. So you can then
Yeah.
be able to be like, this PTSD from this experience ain't holding me down. I'm going to
No,
reconnect to
what
who
held me down though
I am.
is you all that I found on TikTok. If it weren't for all of my supporters on TikTok, and I'm talking about my real supporters, though some of you I talked to, some of them because I don't I'm talking like I'm on TikTok. We are not on TikTok, but some of them I talk to offline, some of them I don't. But my real supporters, I know that the love is real. I know that the support is real. And honestly, if it wasn't for that family that we've created over there on my platform on TikTok, I know I would have drowned in that depression many a days. Um, it it was a it was a weird experience to have been betrayed by people that I met online, but then also healed by people that I met online. So, yeah, I just want to say shout out to my TikTok family. Like y'all have literally been the best um family that I've never met in my life. So some of you I have met, but I'm just saying overall, um,
And you
just
know what? When you
people
said
that
that,
came together.
that really just opened my eyes to something that I honestly, growing up and being born in 1980, like, this technology, having social media, being in rooms and spaces, I'm still wrapping my head around it because I don't do a lot of the social media things. But
Right, me
you just
either.
said something that just hit me, is that is a weird space to be in all actuality, is when you have
Yeah,
been hurt by people you've met, but also been loved by people you met, and that could be a real confusing
yeah,
space. And it just made me think of how many other people have experienced something like that, you know
yeah,
and that is something that I thank you for even opening up, because even though I might not have been affected by that, there's probably a lot of people, a lot of great women that are in the RWE family or in the win-win-win family, TikTok, uh, all the other platforms that are out there that has gone through that experience. And that needs to be recognized too, because it is something that now you have to kind of figure out, who am I? You know?
right.
Um, one of my sayings is with healing is, you have the hard, the harder, and the hardest. The experience that you went through is the hard part. The realization the next day that the world is still existing, even though now that you've changed, is harder. And the
Right.
hardest part is now going to the past, because you have to go to the past to
Hmm.
start that healing and do those steps to be
Absolutely.
healed. And that's the hardest. So that, I didn't even think about that when you said that. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is something that's huge, because people are
Yeah.
going to feel that way. What would you encourage people who are like, dang, somebody finally said something? Because even high schoolers, they grew up with social media. So what would be something that you would say to someone that has met someone on social media that has hurt them, and then
Hmm.
still not trusting, but then having a group of supporters who love them that step up, and being in that weird space? What would be your suggestions to someone that is like, man, I've been hurt, but I have people that I love?
Um, I think the only thing I can really suggest is that get familiar with the idea that humans are humans. Um, Trust that humans are going to do, excuse me, I'm so sorry, that humans are going to do what humans are going to do. And here's something that we're going to do. We're going to love you. We're going to hate you. We're going to hurt you. We're going to protect you. We're going to be loyal. We're going to betray you because we are a spectrum. We're not a monolith. We don't all do the same things. And although we have similarities, we have just as many similarities as we have differences. And that is the beauty and the curse of being human beings. You have to trust, but you also have to not trust. And this is what I really want us to really focus on as human beings is our instinct. Whether what you're going through is happening the way you perceive it or not, the only thing that is factual is how you feel in that moment. Nothing is more honest than what you feel. And when you are practicing humanity and you are practicing checking the oppressor within, just like any other sense, your sense of intuition will get sharper. So you will be able to navigate the world and understand that everything you hear can't be trusted, even from the people you love. Everybody that seems good is not incapable of doing bad. Everybody that you deem bad is not incapable of doing good. There are exceptions to every rule, including being human. So if we remember that, and I feel like if we treated each other with that in mind more often, we do a lot less traumatizing one another. Because the first thing you're gonna do is, how would I feel if it were happening to me?
Mm.
That's the first thing you're gonna do. And it becomes habitual to think about how that's going to affect somebody, how what I'm saying is going to affect you, how what I'm doing is going to affect you. And even if you don't think about it in that moment, you continue to practice it. Even if you mess up and say or do something wrong, you will immediately start to feel that humanity kicking in, like, now you know you was wrong for that. You know you were wrong. Go on and make amends and do what you need to do, because there's nothing wrong with being human. Where the wrong comes in is thinking that someone is less human than you. And that's why we end up treating each other the way we do. We feel
And
like we're
that
more
goes,
important than the next person. And we're all equally important.
yeah, and that falls right back to what you said that you're an expert in, just being human.
Yeah,
And I think that is the best way to explain it is to just be human. I
yeah.
want to thank you so much for coming here and just sharing your story, sharing how we can just
Enjoy.
apply the things that you've learned through your struggles in your life and apply it to our lives so that way we can be
Sure.
experts at being human. You know, having empathy for one another is free. Um,
Especially for victims. That is something that I really want to reiterate before. I don't know how long we're going to be here, but I do want to reiterate that is that, quite honestly, we're all a victim of something. We are. Um, but sexual assault is something that is really close to me because I feel like it's one of the most um, inhumane things you can do to a person, especially a child. And when you take that opportunity away from them to get to know, like, you're literally taking the opportunity away from that child to get to know who they are untouched. Being assaulted changes you drastically. I'll never know who I would have been without that trauma, without someone stealing my my inner being.
I
Because to
agree.
me, that's the closest you can be to yourself is your sensuality. In your sensuality, you are able to accept everything about yourself. And when you don't have that, when you no longer, when you never even got a chance to connect to that, how do you find your way back to it?
That is the message that you said that hit me like a ton of bricks
Mhm.
because in all my life, I have never heard it explained that way. And when I heard you explain it that way, it allowed me to start to look at it and be what I call curious without judgment, because for
Mhm.
so long I lived in judgment. And so
And
it
that's
allowed
sad
me,
as a victim that we live in so much judgment of ourselves. And to be honest with you, um, of course, we have those ignorant people that are just like, they've never been through any type of trauma like that. But what really hurt me the most were the victims that did not understand sexy after sexual assault. We don't we don't this is not how we're supposed to act, and this is not what we're supposed to do. And I'm just like, why is it that the perpetrator can go out here and have all the fun that they want to have sexually, sensually, whatever you want to call it, but when I mention as a victim that I want to feel sexy, that I want to be sensual, that I want to make love, or even if I just want to fuck, why can't I say that without you scrunching up your nose saying victims don't act like that? Yes, we do. Victims act however they want to act. However it is that they are feeling, you do not get to dictate how we act, and especially when it comes to something that belongs to us. You can't tell me how to indulge in my sensuality. You can't tell me how to indulge in my sexuality. That's mine. That is
that. Okay.
mine. And just because you took my body after I said no, doesn't mean you get to walk off with my sensuality and I never get it back. You really got me messed up. I'm gonna need you to run that right on back. That's mine. That's
I love
mine. And if
So
I
do you
gotta
hear
take it
that?
back, I will.
RWE, do you hear that? If you have
Right.
been struggling with, like myself, because I told you when I first heard you say that, it was hard for me to grasp because it was never explained to me in that way. And I didn't feel that I could take that power back. So if you're listening, even on demand, here in the room with us, because like I said, this is live. We have people here and we're talking about it. We have people that are saying unpacking is so hard. It's also being able to accept constructive criticism while making mistakes as humans. Like we're humans, we get it. We
Mhm.
make mistakes. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Make room and safe space for being human and making mistakes. And that's why we are here as a community. That is what Rich with Experiences is all about. When I envisioned this, it was about us sharpening each other. I wouldn't have
Mhm.
been able to do a lot of things because I wasn't taught a lot of things. I had to read books. I had to go out and find the therapy. I had to go out and make it a priority. I'm the only one in
Mhm.
my family that's doing it. And they still look at me like I'm an alien and they don't want to hear none of what I have to say because it's something that they're not yet ready to even, you know, wrap themselves around.
Right.
So giving ourselves permission to take that back is our right. It's
Absolutely.
our right. And I
It's
want
your
to thank you.
destiny. It is your destiny as a being, period.
And I want
Every
to thank you for
being.
sharing that. Um, I am so happy for everyone that was here. I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation, and especially on a topic that is a tough topic for me. It's still something that it's hard for me to even talk about in my own journey, but it's because of women like you who have made a space for me to start working and healing in my sexuality in other ways. And that's why it's important. Now, before we close, I want to encourage everyone because it's not just something that she's pulling from the sky. This is
No.
real. Your root chakra is where your trauma is stored. And that's your hips, baby. And anyone will tell you when you want to start working on your trauma and releasing that stored up pain that you are
Mm-hmm.
feeling, twerk it, baby.
Absolutely.
Work it, stretch it.
Yes. I was
That
just
is
about to say,
truth.
I'm gonna give y'all this assignment. Find
Come on now.
your favorite song that turns you on. And I mean like that song that gets you there. Put on your sexiest shit, go stand in the mirror and sing that song to you. Every word of it. Every word of it. Move around in that mirror, flip your hair, whatever you got to do. Rub on yourself, touch on your. Y'all remember that song by ooh, there goes my tweet. Yes,
Tweet.
I want you to do all of that. That song changed my life as a teenager. It really did because she may have been singing it in a way of, you know, she was feeling, that way that night. But I always got the sense of empowerment from that song. Like, and this is long before I'd still even, came into my sensuality. I know that song did something to me because it made me feel like it's possible. It's possible. Maybe not today, but it is possible that one day I will be able to look at myself in the mirror and find myself sexy, find myself attractive. You know what I'm saying? And I want everybody, but especially those of us that those feelings have been ripped away from. I can't wait for that day that you find that in you. So that's y'all assignment.
Okay, you heard it. So before we head on out, we have an assignment. So if you are not in a space where you can comfortably do that, we understand. We still want you to find your song that makes you feel like, okay, I can get that woman in me. Get in the mirror, sing it, whether it's in your head, if you can sing it out loud, if you can turn on the radio, if you can dance to it, whatever you're able to do within your safety, do it. Take
Absolutely.
back your power. And I want to thank
Absolutely.
everyone at home, everyone here with us. Most importantly, I want to thank our guest this week, Lesa Lace. Thank you so
Thank
much
you for
for
having
being
me.
here. Um, we will be back next week. I will be here. We'll be having another great conversation. I am always thankful for everyone that is here. My name is Michelle. I am the owner and founder of Life After Loss Academy, and I have a 90-day program where I teach my clients in a group or one-on-one how to permanently heal their trauma. And when I say permanently, I mean permanently because I will show you tools that you'll be able to utilize in any situation. It's universal and it's going to be there for you. And if you want to see how you can do that, go ahead and go to my website at michellehaughh.com. That's michellehoughton.com. Or if any of the links here on Win Win Women TV that you will see, my Facebook, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my TikTok, all of those has links and you will be able to find me. But most importantly, I'm going to tell you guys after every episode, after everything we do, you know what I'm going to say. You guys have to love yourself through discovery and healing. Because the healing process, you're going to discover a lot of things about yourself, a lot of things about others, and a lot of things about a lot of things. And through that discovery, love yourself, give yourself grace, because that's what it's about. So thank you again for being with us today. And thank
Thank
you.
you.